Okay, now it's a different time of day, so if the lighting is a little strange, I apologize. But nonetheless, I had to go and do a few things before I could get back to this. But nonetheless, that's not really important. As long as you can see everything and everything's good, that's all that matters. Now, this is the last part of my 2025 setup. So I had a commonplace, I had a memory journal slash health journal packed in one. I had these two inserts. I had my Kokyo campus trial journal. I think that's the closest thing to it. And then I have my Hobonichi Cousins. And these are my main planners. They have my first one isn't as bulky as my second one. That is because I started mastering this planner when it came to the second half of the year. If I could go back in time, there's a few things that I would change, and I'm gonna talk about that in this video. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the first half of the year and go from there. So another thing that I was thinking about adding, actually, you know what, I'll save that for later, but let's go ahead and start this one. So this is my A5 Hobonichi Cousin in the Avec style. And if you didn't know, I put the packaging here just to make sure. This is lovely. I love this planner. This is one of my most successful planners I have ever used in my entire life, and I freaking adore this planner. If I wasn't greedy and didn't want to try new things, I would just buy another Hobonichi Cousin for next year. But one of the biggest things for me that I noticed is that the Hobonichi Cousin is a desk planner. It is something that you keep on your desk, in my opinion, and that's like the best place to maximize it. But because I take my planner with me literally everywhere, whenever I go to a cafe, whether I'm going and I'm studying in a library or something like that, this is kind of gets a little bit cumbersome. Another thing that I kind of wish, I wouldn't say problem I had with the Hobonichi, but another thing that I personally really need is I really needed that brain dump. And when you have such an intense planner as a Hobonichi Cousin, you kind of want to just put everything all in this. But if I do that, things get lost. It's just too much stuff and too much information to put in all-in-one planner. If I could go back in time, I would use my monthly as, oh gosh, I think I'm talking about this too soon, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. If I could go back in time, I would use the monthlies as a regular appointment. I think the appointment sort of future planning is really good for the monthlies. I think this concept that I did when I first started, which is doing a synopsis of the day, worked very, very well for me. That's another thing that I would do. And then my dailies would be planning. That is like the most comfortable for this Hobonichi Cousin. That's like what I would do. So in the future, if I'm sort of like tired of bullet journaling and I just don't want to do it, I will definitely just pick up one of the Hobonichi Avecs and I will just jump into that one, and I know that I'll be like in a safe planner zone. I do feel like planner piece is definitely a concept when it comes to this planner. I think I should zoom in a little bit. I don't know why I'm so out, but it's okay. It's okay. Nonetheless, where are we at? Let's go ahead and start reviewing this planner. The first is the overall calendar, and of course, the both halves of the Hobonichi Cousin are basically the same. They have all the same layouts. There's nothing that is missing from one planner to the next. So it's basically, for me, what it feels like is I'm buying two Hobonichi Cousins when they're one planner. But what I also really love is I don't think I would go for a Hobonichi Cousin like the traditional one book. I would always go for the Hobonichi Avec because it's just a good freshness in the middle of the year when you want to change a pace and you want a different planner or something like that. I feel like this is like, so like it just gives you a good reset moment in the middle of the year. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I want to do inserts for next year, because I loved the feeling of getting into a new planner multiple times a year. I feel like with the bullet journal and sort of the size of the bullet journal, it's like, I think it's like a good 3-month planner. And then I would jump into another 3 months and I could spend time refreshing my goals, refreshing some of like my planner designs. I can really just sort of archive the things that kind of were annoying while I was using the planner. And I could just have a fresh start and a fresh look at things. And I think it's a great way to sort of sit down and review what worked and what didn't work for me, and then go from there. But nonetheless, what I did was each one of these, they both have a pocket that I made, which I absolutely love. And what else do I have in here? And it's also like, it's an additional storage because I don't have a case for the Hobonichi planners. I just use them as is. The index for the first 6 months, I did the same tracker thing, which kind of worked for the first 6 months. But like, I don't know if it's as effective as I think it is. I think like it's like, you kind of don't, I didn't know what I wanted to do with this. And so I forced it to work for me. But I still love this. I still love these spreads 100%. The monthlies, I also adore these monthlies. Oh my God. I don't know what it is, but I feel like some of my favorite spreads in the Hobonichi is the monthly. And I know why it is because there are grids in the Hobonichi, and then there's like, it's the Hobonichi monthly layout is another grid. So you have grids on grids. And I was like, oh my God, this is, for me, it's super adorable. And it's something that I'm definitely going to take into my 2026. I really love, I'm gonna write that down. Oh, I'm running out of room. I think I'm gonna get some sticky notes. Do I have some sticky notes in here or something? I don't think I do. I kind of like, let me see if I can find some sticky notes really quick because I really want to write this down. Let me see. The one day I need a sticky note is the one day I can't find a sticky note. Okay. We have more of these yellow sticky notes. So I'm gonna write this down. What I love, and this is something that I'm gonna replicate in my bullet journal, is what I love about Hobonichi monthlies, I spelled that wrong, is the proportions. I love the idea that you have an equal square, you have a square, and then you have squares in the squares. When I make my bullet journal, I am following these proportions 1,000,000%. So what I'll be doing is let me count. Let me go ahead and do I have an empty monthly in here? I don't think I do. Okay, here, this is July. And this is like the first month of the second half. So this is why it's empty. Oh my gosh, I don't want to spoil it, but we're going to spoil it anyway. I'm going to, do I want to write it here? Yeah, let's do here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay. So now we know the proportions of that. And I want to say how many. I think these are 2. Is there a place? Oh, here it is. Okay, here. Yeah. So, and then these are 2. So this is 1, 2, which is also 9. Am I correct? 7, 8, 9. So that's why it is a 9x9 box, and then the 2 boxes are highlighted. So I'm going to also write that down. So we have 2 boxes, 7 boxes by 9 boxes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, that is going, and then this is going to be highlighted. It doesn't have to be highlighted, but it has to be like, there has to be a spot for the number. Okay, like I love I don't know what it is, but the proportions of this Hobonichi is just so freaking cute by every stretch of the imagination. So what I'm gonna do with these, I'm just gonna put these on these sides because I'm running out of room. So we're just gonna put them on the other side and hope I don't forget them. But the proportions of this calendar just make my heart sing. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know why. But when I do my bullet journal, I am following these exact proportions. I'm following the exactness of this Hobonichi because it just makes me so happy. Now, what I used my monthly for both, I believe, yeah, for both the first half and the second half of the year is just an appointments. It's just appointments with some logging. If there was a special event that day, I will log that. And if I have an appointment, I will log that. So for my 2026, I know that my main planner, my calendar, my monthly calendar will be for appointments, so future logging, and special events, which is just plain logging. And I can put it after the fact. And I'm running out of room for this page as well, so I think I might stick to sticky notes because I don't want to like go back and forth. But this worked so well for me. I really loved it. For the margins on the side, I didn't use them very effectively at all. But I don't think I ever will. Maybe I'll put like some special notes here, and that's about it. But let's go on and move to the weeklies because my weeklies are kind of a love and hate relationship. I do want to mention this. This is actually the first trial run for my wins calendar, which has become a non-negotiable. So I know that my main planner will have, see, I ran out of room. Okay. Let me write on this sticky note. Ugh, I wish I could use another page, but I just, I don't want to flip back and forth when I'm writing, so we're just going to do this. I know that my main planner will have to have 2 monthly calendars. One has to be an appointment calendar, so I'll do that, appointment calendar, and one has to be a wins calendar, which will, yeah. And then my appointment calendar will be at the beginning of the month. And then my wins calendar will be at the end of the month because guess what? That's when I update it. So now I know like that is like a non-negotiable. Now we go to the weeklies. For the beginning of the year, I knew there was something I knew about myself. That is, I do not time block very well. The reality is the majority of time when I do something, it either takes longer than I anticipated or it takes shorter than I anticipated. I don't really have any set, like, it's really hard for me to put a set timer on a lot of my tasks. Unless it's a task that isn't very important, like let's say cleaning. I'm gonna clean for an hour. If I clean for 50 minutes and I have those 10 minutes free, it annoys the crap out of me. I would rather put cleaning and then clean for as long as it takes and then write down how long it took and then try to shave time, or I try to like work a little faster if I thought it took too long, then to time block for an hour and then not have the task completed if I took too long, or have extra time when the task was too short, if that makes sense. So I knew that time blocking wasn't going to work. And I knew that future planning wasn't going to work because a lot of the times life gets in the way and my future planning turns to pieces. So the best thing that I could think of was doing a synopsis of my day. And in my opinion, this is the most successful way that I use my weeklies. I definitely want to try this in my 2026. I want to try doing these little synopsis. Like, and this is something that, you know, is separate from my memory keeping. This usually had to do with like work tasks or, you know, personal projects and stuff like that. And sort of the problems that I had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down in 2026, try, what is it, weekly timeline as a synopsis journaling, something like that. And then I could put refer to Hobonichi Cousin. Now, if you can't, this is chicken scratch. Basically, it's not really, I'm writing like really quick notes. So if it's not readable, it's because I'm gonna it's not that important. It's eventually going to you know what I mean. Nonetheless, I dropped off in the first month of the year. In February, I dropped off. And you could be wondering, you said that this was working for you. What went wrong? What I felt like was I was writing in this, and I was also writing in my memory keeper. And it did feel like I was doing things twice. And in hindsight, I should have just done it twice. Why not? I should have just had these here and then had, my Hobonichi A6 size. I think that, next year that's definitely going to change because my journaling insert is going to be structured a little different. But it's such a shame that I dropped off because it was so helpful when I was doing it. And because I dropped off, I had literally no idea what I wanted to do for the weeklies. And in the end, I did a few experiments here and there, but nothing really solidified because guess what? This is what worked for me best. And of course, I know that next year I'm gonna do some experimenting. I definitely feel like I want to experiment with time blocking again. Just because I feel like it's really cool. And it's okay because I'm using a bullet journal. I can do a few spreads, and if I drop off on it and I feel like, you know what, this is not working with me, whatever, then I could just be like, okay, it didn't work. I could just not do it in the next spreads that I do in my bullet journal. So I do want to experiment with time blocking again, just for the heck of it. But I still think this was the most successful I was. Most successful I was with my weeklies. I did try doing some trackers in my weeklies. I did try, a few things here and there. This is time blocking as well. And as you can see, I kind of messed up here as well, but it's okay. I think I can do better the next time I try. This is also something, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do this, but I have to do this. I really have a lot of ideas for 2026. That's why I'm doing this video, because I have a lot of ideas that I want to implement for 2026. Now, this is also another successful experiment that I had for my Hobonichi Cousin. These are logging pages. What I would do, as I mentioned before, because my schedule, because life happens and I, get thrown around sometimes, it happens. I wanted to log my time. Instead of future planning in my weeklies, I decided to log my weeklies. And what I did was I made a key of events, reminders, when I worked, necessary tasks, when I woke up, when I fell asleep, when I had lost time or wasted time, and this just on a little bookmark thing. And this was also extremely successful in my opinion. I was so happy when I was doing this, and I still do this actually. I still do this if you've seen my plan with me in my second half of my Hobonichi Cousin, I still do this, but I do this on the daily pages just because I had such a hard time flipping back to the weeklies. But this was also extremely successful for me, and I also loved being able to see what I was doing. I could sit down and I can look at this and I could see when I went to the gym, when I did editing, when I had classes, because sometimes I do I find little classes online and stuff like that, just to learn new things. So I took a class on editing, I took a class on language learning, and so I can see where I did those things, and I love being able to see that. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. Time logging in weeklies, how would you call it? I have to put timeline weeklies, and then refer to Hobonichi Cousin. And then this I have to have in my bullet journal. And I need another sticky note. But this was also so successful for me. It was so like, it's so, how should I say it? It helps me get a clear visualization on how I'm spending my time, and also just how, just how like productive I am as well. And as you can see, this is in June, and what I did was I actually stopped like having the key, and I actually started writing the key here, and I love this. I feel like when I start setting up my bullet journals, I do have to keep a few of these notebooks out so I can refer to them to make sure that I write down like all the things that worked for me. Like for instance, I'm not gonna remember this when I do my bullet journaling, so I do have to like, you know, refer to this. And thankfully, I'm so glad I'm doing this video because I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna put it on my iPad when I start bullet journaling so that I can like be like, okay, oh, I really like this in this video. I should really come back and like, you know, make sure this is with me when I bullet journal. But nonetheless, this was a phenomenal like discovery as well. Now, as you can see, I did drop off, and I think it's because I was moving. Yeah, I was moving into my second half. Yeah, this is the last week. So this is the week I started setting up my second half, and it was very successful. And I'm definitely going to implement that in my 2026 bullet journaling in my traveler's journal. This is also really nice. This is my yearly goals and my intentions and expectations. I'm not going to go over it just because it's private information, I guess you could say. But this is really nice. I really love this, and I'm definitely going to do a new one for 2026. But I have a few ideas. I have to wait till later. This is also something. This is actually goals and reflections for the month. This is also something that I really, really like. But I have it formatted differently now in my second half. But I definitely think that this is also something that I want to do in my, in my bullet journal. And that is having goals for the month, and reflections for the month, just so I can see how I'm feeling. And then for the daily pages, I ran through so many ideas with the daily pages, and I don't know if I can go over all of them in this video. What I'm gonna have to do is that I'm gonna set up just a normal daily page in my bullet journal. And then when I need inspiration, I could come back to this, because there's a lot of things that I really, really like in these pages. But like right now, it's just too much information, especially with all these notes that I wrote. Like, oh, look at that. So this is where I put it. This is a spectrum of light. Oh, gosh, that's where it is. But like I have some, like for instance, I did a little section for drawing. Oh, I love that. It's so cute. And like when you're looking through your spreads and you see like a little drawing, you're like, oh, so adorable. Like I was doing like a drawing per month, and like I think what is this, February was clouds. So I really like that idea. You know, and I have some notes in here, and I really like this planner. This is a lot of successful experiments in this planner. Also, as you can see, these are brain dump notes. See, this is what happened with the Hobonichi Cousin, because there was no place for me to brain dump and I didn't have a notebook for brain dump. I would tip in pages. And then guess what? The page would be lost with time. And so I found that very annoying, hence why I started a brain dump notebook. This was also really nice. If you're somebody who is interested in the Hobonichi Cousin, what is really successful, in my opinion, about the Hobonichi Cousin is that every single day you have the opportunity to try a different layout. You have an opportunity to change the way you plan, to change what your goals are, to change, you know, what you want to use your pages for. I think if you're somebody who wants to experiment a lot, a Hobonichi Cousin is a really good experimentation planner, just because there's so many pages. There's so much room in here to like do whatever the hell you want. I think one of the unfortunate things that I had to learn the hard way, I feel like this Hobonichi helped me do that, is that because there's so much room, it got to the point where I was like, oh my God, I cannot not experiment. I cannot really just rip up the pages because there's so many pages. And like the fact that the Hobonichi Avec is in 2 sections, I'm like, there's so many pages, I might as well just do whatever I want. And you know, who cares if I fail, because I got a new, like the next day is a new page. And like you have 365 days of like pages. I might have, like, you might as well. Now this is May, and I don't know why it dropped off in May, but because there's so many pages, like I was like, F it, man, if I miss a page or 2, I'm like, good, I can go back and like do some more. And so like that's what I felt with this notebook. And I did, you know, a lot of people, they want to curate their planners. I also really wanted to curate my planner. I really wanted it to be beautiful and like well designed, and it's got beautiful stickers and stuff like that. But there are times where I was like, no, I just need to like battle it out in this notebook. I just need to go at it. And when I really sat down and I was like, you know what, which one do I value more? Do I value a curated notebook in which I am afraid to make mistakes? Or do I value the idea of going through the process, making the mistakes, and coming out better? And I love them both. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of curation, but I don't have the skill yet. So I might as well really go in and just like beat it up and like just go at it. And that's exactly what I did with this Hobonichi Cousin. And I felt no pressure because there's so many pages. It just never ends. Like, look at me, I'm still flipping through it. And I'm like, how long have I been talking? Like 20 minutes, I feel like. And as you can see, like I spent a lot of time just experimenting. And this is like the reflection overview at the end of the 6 months. And then we get into those, yeah, in those pre-printed pages. And it's just wonderful. It was wonderful. I really, really, you know, there was times I hated this. Don't get me wrong. I felt a little overwhelmed here and there. As you can see, there was some empty pages. Those are the times where I felt overwhelmed. But I went at it, and I'm just so thankful and so grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. And it's beautiful.